Let's hit it. Tap it up, heart me, I love yous, and I appreciate you guys that are gifting. All right, Rabi, Kalache, and Mikajazi. All of you guys that have been watching other influencers tell stories. There's one major guy, appreciate you guys, love yous, that's been talking about Rabi Kalache, and this is Underworld Bill, all right? So I've never spoken about Rabi Kalache before because obviously I don't know him on a personal level, but I was with him once upon a time at Kempy prison when a situation occurred, all right? I love you guys, appreciate you. So remember the story that the Koori brother Car told you guys where they had a big misunderstanding with the Lebanese boys at Lithgow. Now, if you go on YouTube, you'll see a Lebanese guy getting jumped, but there's also a situation that occurred where Rabi Kalache tried to help this guy, and then from Car's story, Rabi Kalache ended up with a broken jaw. I don't know, but remember, Car was there, and Underworld Bill wasn't. So he can tell this story because he was there when it happened. All right. So when Rabi was going to Kempy, this was many years later. Yeah. It seems like he was still on edge every time he saw Aboriginal boys. He no longer trusted a lot of people. But remember, Rabi is well respected, not only from his own people, but from every nationality. Just like Dave Tafua was well respected from every nationality. And yes, Underbill is right when he's saying that Moses To'o and Rabi Kalache were like two guys who were the heads of their nasho. So Moses was the head of the Islanders, Rabi Kalache was the head of the Lebanese boys / Middle Eastern boys, because there was a lot of other Middle Eastern nationalities that were also falling in line when it came to prison politics. All right. So Rabi Kalache and Mikajazi were in the same truck. They ended up at Shortland, all right? Shortland prison used to be called Cessnock, all right? When they got there, they ended up together overnight and they were on their way to Kempy. Kempy prison is where all the heavy hitter Aboriginal boys were back then, all right? I don't remember exactly what year I was there, but I was there with my brother, 2 and 2 heat. So they were both coming to Kempy prison. This is Mikajazi and Rabi Kalache. While they were on the truck on their way there, it seemed like Rabi Kalache was getting ready for something, but he never spoke to anyone about it. He just, like the soldier he was, he just minded his own business, and he just gets ready for anything that's coming. Fast forward, as they land, they're inside the cell. They're getting ready to go to the to the wing. Mikajazi standing there, and he notices like, there's something odd about Rabi, you know. And he asks him like, "You're good, bro?" Like that. Rabi goes, "Yeah, all good, man, all good," like that. And then he mentioned like the situation that might erupt. He goes, "Oh, I'm going over there. Might be a few Koori boys that don't like me, so it is what it is." Mikajazi, being the person he is, he's got nothing to do with this drama. He's got nothing to do with any of the jail politics because he just come from the outside. But being the person he is, he told Rabi, "All right, then I got your back." And Rabi was quick to say, "Nah, I don't need you to have my back. It's all good. I was just explaining to you like what's gonna happen if I go to the wing." And Mikajazi, from his own words, said that he goes, "It's all good, bro." He goes, "We came together," and he goes, "And whatever happens inside the wing when we walk in there, it's gonna happen to both of us. You know, we both get got, we get got. You know, like I'm not gonna leave you with it. Like we're gonna do something, let's do it." They go inside the wing, and the first thing they see is all the Aboriginals packed up, yeah, and they were the only 2 Middle Eastern guys there. So the first thing they did was drop their bags and they quickly walked outside to the yard. Then they started pumping laps, all right? While they were pumping laps, remember, they had no sheaves, no nothing. And this right here shows the gangster mentality of real OGs, yeah? Like, yeah, there's going to be a lot of people out there that are going to be saying Rabi's not an OG or Mikajazi's not an OG, or don't put these two in the same category. Hey, like, I'm telling this story and it's got nothing to do with who's the OG and who's not. This story's got to do with two guys who could have just separated and gone their own way and could have done what everyone else does and put in a paper and say, oh, chief, I can't be here in this prison because I had problems with the Koori boys. No, Rabi Kalache didn't do that. He was willing to go into the wing, and if he got jumped, it is what it is. Mikajazi, who had nothing to do with it, he followed suit, knowing full well that he could have got his head jumped on. Both boys doing laps until the Koori boys yelled out. And when they yelled out, hey, what's going on, lads? Both of them were like, nah, nothing, he's all good. He goes, yeah, we're all good. You all good? Yeah, we're all good. When you hear this inside prison, where inmates are saying, are you good? Yeah, we're good. Are you good? Usually at this time, drama's about to kick off, all right? I've heard it so many times and I've done it myself, where I knew I was going to beat someone up, so I say, are you good? You know, and that person knew straight away something was going to happen. Fast forward, the Koori boys, while they were chatting to Rabi and Mikajazi, he had drugs inside his pocket, and this was his way of trying to swindle a move to try to keep him and Rabi safe for at least one day while they go and try to get some Ivshades or something, because they had just got there. So obviously there was no one there to help the boys with Ivshades, and there was no one there to back the boys up. So both boys were there, and the whole wing, and mind you, this is probably like 70 people in this wing, 50 to 70 people. So it was really, if it broke out, it would have been the whole wing against these two boys. Yet they still walked in like men, knowing full well there was a chance that we're going to get hammered. Right? These boys that were questioning them and asking them like, where'd you come from? What they didn't realize, Mikajazi and Rabi Kalache at the time, is these Koori boys knew who Rabi was, all right? But they were actually shocked at the fact that Rabi was willing to walk into the wing, you know? And then obviously Mikajazi was there backing him up, but it didn't matter, because remember, these guys had the numbers. And no matter how much of a hard guy you are, when the other national, when others have the numbers, like, good luck to you, all right? When they were talking to the two boys, one of them yelled out from the side, "Oi, aren't you Rabi Kalache?" And guess what? The first thing he said was, "Yeah, why?" A lot of boys inside prison that I have met would always buckle and say, why? You know? Didn't buckle. Said straight away, "Yeah, that's my name. Why?" You know? And Mikajazi, like, got ready. But also he had the drug in there because he wanted to give it to them to try to get one day so they can go get armed up. Like, even a tuna in a sock is a good weapon, but they didn't even get the chance to do that because they didn't get all of their property, you know? When the Koori guy asked him, Rabi spoke up, and obviously you can see the tension that something might erupt, yeah? But as soon as he asked that question and Rabi answered it, he straight away turned to all his guys that were there, the other Koori boys, as in like, are we gonna do something, or are we all just gonna stand here? Now remember, the situation at Lithgow happened, but Rabi was well loved by every nationality, yeah? From what I know. Remember, I don't know Rabi Kalache on a personal level, but everyone that was in his team, or everyone that got along with him, they all said the same thing. And even the Islander boys, they knew him very well, especially Moses as well. And every single one of them said the same thing. He was a gentleman until you stepped on his toes, all right? And this is what happened. Every single one of the Koori stopped, looked at each other. No one wanted to do anything because they didn't know if they did something, they were stepping on the toes of their bosses or the Koori boys that were leading. Because there was frontline soldiers for the Kooris there. When I tell you the Kooris that were there, you'll spin out, because these guys are the ones that go to town on freaking inmates. They don't take a backward step. But these are the guys that gave Rabi the respect to stay in the wing that day, and they didn't jump him or Mikajazi. So I was in another wing with my brother. I got a message from boys to to help Mika Jazi because he was by himself. Now remember, Rabi Kalache had a bit of issues with the Koori boys, but what nobody knew is Mika Jazi, he was a commentator at the time. And when he came to that prison, that wasn't a commentator prison, that was his enemy's prison, yeah? And he still walked into the remain knowing full well that he might get abstayed or have his head jumped on. But I got a message to take care of him. I called him out to the Oval, asked him if he was all right, if he needed anything. And we told him that we had his back all the way. This is when Mika Jazi explained to me the situation with him and Rabi, but yet he explained that they were all good, all right? So this is a story that everyone's been asking me about because obviously a lot of people have been bridging up at the fact saying that Rabi Kalache and Mika Jazi, walked in there and they shit their pants. Let me tell you something. Every Koori that was in there said the same thing to me when we were out on the Oval because, bro, they're staunch boys, eh? They walked in knowing full well that something might happen to them and they didn't take a backward step, you know? When they asked the question, Rabi said his name straight away. Mika Jazi, he knew full well that he had nothing to do with it, but he backed Rabi all the way. So to everyone that's sitting there talking rubbish about these two boys, no, they didn't buckle. Sorry, I just got to fix this puzzle. No, they didn't buckle. And not only did I hear this from boys that was in their wing, I also heard this from the Koori boys that were there that day. And obviously I was there during this time with my brother, and I heard it straight from Mika Jazi's mouth what happened. So there. No, Mika Jazi and Rabi Kalache never shit their pants, never took a backward step. Let's fix that up. Nobody ever talk about it again. Let's move on to the next story. All right. OneFour, 21 District, and 046. This is not a story. This is just something that occurred while I was doing my 7 years, yeah? Now, before I move on to this story, again, guys, heart me and tap it up. Heart me and tap it up. I love yous. I appreciate you gifters. And I appreciate everyone that's tapping it up. So the story that I told about Rabi and Mika Jazi was just to highlight this to the younger generation that there is going to be times when you go into prison and think you're a tough guy and then you're going to be stuck in a corner. What are you going to do? And remember, you would never be in that situation if you didn't do what you just did. You know what I mean? So moving forward with OneFour and that, I was locked up 2018. All right. I owned a percentage of Snow Tunes. For those of you guys who don't know what Snow Tunes is, it's one of the biggest winter festivals in Australia, and I was 51% shareholder, so I was majority shareholder. 2017, 2018, I was heavily involved in it, but these guys were already running for 5 years before I even got there. All right, Tanisha, love you, I appreciate you. Now, during this time, I ended up getting locked up in 2018. I copped 10 years with 7 years on the bottom. While I was doing my time, my wife inherited the company. I signed over the company to her, Snow Tunes, and then she was helping my business partners run Snow Tunes, all right? Now, because I am good at what I do, I know how to run events that will bring crowds, all right? And OneFour started popping off. Obviously, they started doing this thing called drill music, and it started popping off, and then everyone else started like following suit. Now, while I was inside prison, I had an illegal mobile phone, so I was watching this stuff on the mobile phone. 21 District comes out with a song called The Reply. Now all of a sudden drill blows up even more because you got two groups who are rivals, and when they were rapping about certain things, it was about real shit that was happening to them and real things that had happened amongst both their crews. For example, I remember asking one of the younger generation guys inside prison, I said, why the hell are all these young islanders fighting each other over postcodes? Like, do you not realize that when you're in a gang and you grow up a hard life, it's about getting out of the... So I didn't get it. Like, I was like, all right, you're fighting for your code. Like me, I'm from Fairfield, so I always repped 2165, but I wasn't willing to die for it. That's where I grew up. You know, that's the first area I went to when I came from New Zealand, my family. So I love Fairfield with all my heart, you know, but I'm not gonna die for it. So I was a bit confused when all these kids were like willing to die for a postcode, because if you're gonna be gangstering on, the whole point of gangstering on is making money, yeah? Making that moolah. But these guys, didn't understand that when you're living the gang life, it's about getting out of the hood, not establishing yourself in the hood. You know what I mean? Like, to all you younger generation that's watching me right now, get that in your head, you know? Like, try to get away from all these postcode rubbish. You know, there's a lot of boys that rep Mount Jewel, rep Campbelltown, Macfields. Yeah, love your area because that's where you grew up. But there's no need to go and to the point where you have to die for it. You know what I mean? It's like unnecessary. In my time, there was a lot of gangs like UTB. Before UTB, there was Burwood Blues. And then down on the other side was Belmore Bloods. Like, these are all the gangs that was coming, you know. BFL is known as Brothers for Life for the Lebanese boys. But what nobody knows is there was a Samoan gang called Brothers for Life back in the early 90s. You know, that's where BFL started, was with the Islander boys. All these other gangs that's up and coming now, these are just stuff that I'm hearing, you know. And I learned all about these new gangs throughout the last 7 years I was inside prison. I met a lot of these young guys, and it was pretty like, how do I put it? It was like, it was something that shocked me, because when they were explaining their stories, none of them actually had a story that made sense on why they were going to war. Yeah, there was kids that passed away during the Evans Day and that, and then they wanted revenge, and they weren't going for, if they weren't going for the revenge, they were rapping about it. So obviously the police knew about everything. It's just a lot of stupidity going on, yeah? So the reason why I'm bringing this freaking story up to you guys is because during my time inside prison, I had my wife still running snow tunes and other events that I was doing, yeah? And I realized right then, when everything was starting to pop off slowly, that Islanders were starting to make a noise. Now remember, back in the days, everything was about white people in America, all right? And it wasn't until soul music, rap music, and I don't know if you guys know this, but a lot of you think that country music came from white people. Watch a bit of documentaries and you'll see how the black people were the ones that started country music, and then the white people ripped them for it. Now remember, I'm not trying to bring this up like trying to start racial political rubbish. No, I'm just stating facts, all right? But this thing that popped off with OneFour was a start of a new era. Like, you can't compare what OneFour did here to what are they called? Those Americans that were Ice Cube, and someone tell me here on my stories, what was that group from America that started back in the days with Dr. Dre and Ice Cube and that? So someone tell me. I'm just NWA. I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you very much for the backup. All right. To me, I didn't want to compare OneFour to NWA, because NWA, it was more like a movement, yeah. Like they were not only fighting for their right to have a stance in the music industry, but they were fighting for their people. You know, remember there was slavery before that, yeah? And a lot of rappers that came up after it, like they all appreciate what NWA brought to the streets, because these NWA guys, they went through it all, and they were willing to get arrested, and they were willing to get picked on every single day. Like, you can watch it on the movies. So OneFour, yes, they did a lot of good with bringing drill in Australia to light, and they were the ones that made it pop off, from what everyone says. And I've seen the music clips, it looks really good. And then obviously all these other drill rappers came. Now myself, I was sitting there one day and I thought to myself, hey, you know what? I rang my wife, and my wife at the time was my girlfriend. I said to her, let's get the Islanders together. She was like, what do you mean? Because usually we just go with the American artists, you know, like I brought Kevin Little here, like Adam Saleh, Fady, like I've brought a lot of artists here, and I've also worked with a lot of artists, big American artists as well. And when I was telling my wife, I go, you know what, stuff the overseas artists, I go, let's do something with the artists here. And she was like who? And I was like, well, there's that OneFour group, there's that 21 District group, and I go, and there's that new group that just started, 046, I think it was called. And then my wife was saying to me, do you know that they've got dramas with each other? And I was like, who cares about the dramas? I go, if I can get these kids together, I guarantee you, I can make $1 million for them. And she was like, how are you gonna make $1 million? And I said, all we need is a 10,000 capacity venue, and $100 per head times 10,000 is $1 million, you know? And I said, trust me, these kids are making noise. We need to get them together. All I need to do is speak up. Like, obviously all these gangs know that I'm an older generation guy, and I go, I don't know if they're gonna listen to me or not. I go, but I'm gonna put it out there that there's $1 million to be made, and there's be $1 million for you guys, minus the expenses to put on the show. I know everything inside out, but I always make sure that I get my target, all right? So the gist of this story is highlighting these facts to all you youngsters that listen to these rappers right now, OneFour, 046, and I hear 21 Districts are gone, but just to you guys that listen to all these drill music, yeah? Yous are all fighting wars right now over postcodes. Yous are all getting revenge for stuff that happened in the past. You have an opportunity when you listen to my stories, or when you hear my stories, to change your life, to change your ways, or to try to be better, yeah? I don't know if you're gonna listen or not, but I guarantee you're gonna spin out when I start telling this story. So I was organizing a venue, and I got approval for the venue. I got approval from the council, and all I needed to do now was to get these Islander gangs together, with the hope that we can put on a mega show, all right? I reached out to 3 Aussie rappers. 1 was from Perth, and 2 was from the Gold Coast. And, it was 4 Aussie rappers, and 1 was from Koori Fields. I told them about this big drill event that I wanted to put on. I was gonna call it Defiance. And straight away, all these Aussies reached out to me, and they said, 100% we're down. Sweet, we got the Aussie boys down. Now the hard part, the Islander gangs, 21 District, OneFour, and 046. What am I gonna do? How am I gonna speak to them? I sent a message to 21 District, and the message was, I have an opportunity that I've put together. I go, but it's an opportunity where everyone has to work as a unit in order to make $1 million plus. You know, I can guarantee you guys $1 million, but I can't guarantee you more than $1 million. But this is what was my target, was $1 million. So I said to 21 District, and at the time there was some guy named Lithgow who I got put in touch with, yeah? And he told me, like, I don't know if this is true or not, that he was the leader of 21 District, or his area, all right? So the messages were being passed back and forth from me and this guy named Lithgow. I don't know who he is, and still to this day I don't know who he is. And he asked me what did I want, and I explained to him, I go, look, there's an opportunity there to make a lot of money. I know there's big tension between OneFour and 21 District, but if we can push that all aside and come to a solution to get everyone together to make money for their families, I guarantee you it's gonna go off. And I go, because everyone's popping right now, but no one's making money. So back then, when all these gangs were rapping against each other, no one was making money. Pretty much everyone was losing money, all right? So that's so my thing was, I was trying to get them together so everyone could make money. But when I spoke to this Lithgow bloke, he sent back a message, and his message was exactly this. Anything that you want to do, Pete, concerning events and the boys performing, 100% we're in. But we will not perform next to OneFour. And then I sent back a message and I was like, bro, it's $1 million. Like, you guys will be able to share this money. Like, I'm not saying I get anything out of the $1 million. You can have the $1 million because I know I'm going to make more than $1 million, but I'm not going to guarantee it. All I'm going to guarantee is you guys will have a share of $1 million. And he said, nah, we won't perform with OneFour, and we will never perform with OneFour. So I hung up the phone and I was like, all right, cool. Who are we going to hit up next? 046. I get in touch with one of the 046 boys because a lot of my guys knew who they were, yeah? And same thing. I explained the situation, I explained the money that could be made, and I explained that I guarantee this $1 million. Trust me, I am good at what I do. I've been in the entertainment industry for a long time. I know how to make money when it comes to the entertainment industry. But again, when I explained this, 046 turned around and said, you know, Vaiusu, like, we got respect for you because you're old school. So we're down for whatever you put on, but we don't want to perform next to OneFour. And we will never perform with OneFour. This is the exact words that came out of 046 and 21 District. All right. Then I sent a message to OneFour, and it was a simple message because my mate was producing their music. So he's a very close brother of mine, and then I sent a message to OneFour, the same message I sent to these boys, and the message came back. And guess what the message was that came back? It goes, look, bro, we don't want to get involved with those two crews when it comes to making money, but if they're willing to let everything go and work together, then yeah, you can count us in. So now, listen to this carefully. OneFour said yes, they were willing to call peace and work together with these two gangs, yeah, to make money for their family. So obviously, OneFour had learned that when they were succeeding, they didn't want to go back to prison again, all right? And yeah, there was big, massive tension between them and other gangs, all right? But they still said yes. They were willing to drop the drama and work together to establish something fresh and leave it all behind. So fast forward today, 21 District is no more apparently, yet 046 is now performing with OneFour. Everywhere OneFour goes, 21 District is, everywhere OneFour goes, 046 is there, you know. Now, I'm not trying to put down 21 District, OneFour or 046. I'm just telling this story to all you younger generation there, yeah? Listen carefully to me. These are three gangs that were at war with each other, yeah? And these three gangs, out of three of them, two of them refused to work with them, and one of them chose to move forward and move away from all the rubbish in the past. You know, everything that happened back then, I believe, was due to these boys not being mature enough to make the right decisions. I'm talking about 046 and 21 District, all right? But OneFour had felt success and they didn't want to lose the success. So they were willing to drop their guard and work. Now this is why I brought this up. It's because of you guys that are in the middle of wars right now, all you younger generation and young adults, and all of you guys who are involved in school brawls and all these little rubbish that you get up to, yeah? Get it through your head. If you start to mature a little bit and get out of that gang mentality, get out of that little street rubbish that you're getting yourself into, like, leave it all behind, you will succeed as well. Look at OneFour succeeding. Look at 046 succeeding, you know. They dropped their guard and they said that and now they're performing alongside OneFour, you know. But nobody knows this story that I'm telling you guys. I'm telling you guys this story because This is a story where OneFour, 046 and 21 District, they could have succeeded almost 7 years ago when I brought it up, yeah, like OneFour was already starting to elevate, but my point is they're only starting to elevate now, all right, like in a big way. Obviously OneFour's come out with their film. Congratulations to all these Islander boys. And for 21 District, the three brothers that I know of, the Tongan brothers who have a podcast, these three boys are amazing. They've changed their lives completely, you know, and God willing, all these boys stay on the straight and narrow path. But the message is to all you guys out there: if these guys are willing to drop all their dramas so they can succeed in life and so they can make something better for their families, then why aren't you doing it? You know what I mean? Like, drop the facade, get rid of all the rubbish and make something of yourself, you know? I'm telling you right now, if you're willing to do it, then your enemy will be willing to do it. Drop all this postcode rubbish. Why are you fighting over a postcode? You know, the point of gangstering on is to get out of the friggin' hood, you know, not to rep a friggin' postcode that your parents went to when they were struggling. If you're repping that postcode, it obviously means that you like struggling. Do you like struggling? I guarantee you don't like struggling. You know what I mean? So take one from 046 and 1-4, yeah? They dropped all the rubbish, they moved forward with their lives, and now they're succeeding. Now, to our final story. All of you guys know who Youngn Lipz is. I don't know this kid, but I do know that there was dramas between Youngn Lipz and my guys. He's not my age, but we also have younger generation bloodline boys that is his age. Before we move on with this story, again guys, tap it up. And if you haven't heart me, then heart me. I don't know what this is, but heart me. And tap it up, guys, tap it up. Look at that. We're almost at 500,000 friggin' likes. I need you to pump it up while we friggin' finish off this story. And then everyone can get some rest for tomorrow. Youngn Lipz is a guy that came up in music when I first heard him, yeah? Love ya, and I appreciate you guys who are gifting and tapping it up. Tap it up and friggin' and heart me. I love yous. I don't really know much about Youngn Lipz's history, but I do know that a lot of people said he was making good music, or he does make good music. I don't know where he is now because I haven't heard anything from him. And I'm not going to bring up all the rubbish that I've been hearing because I don't care about that, and it's none of my business. What I'm bringing up is the fact that Youngn Lipz was someone who had nothing to do with nothing, and then he met OC, this gang OC. Everyone knows this is the gang that I don't get along with because of past rubbish, yeah? Youngn Lipz could have just freaking gone on with his life and became famous. I love you, appreciate you, James. and instead, he bumped into these OC blows, and he bumped into these other gangsters, like the Elmadines and that, and then he chose to align himself with these guys, but not align as in like having a network that he could elevate with. He aligned himself with these guys gang related wise, you know, like he didn't meet the Elmadine boys till later. He met the OC boys first, and then he started repping this OC gang. And every single one of you who are out there, you all know more than I do. You know, like Youngn Lipz is good at what he does, but then all of a sudden he started repping this OC gang. Why? This is a question that I always have to ask, you know. Like, if you're succeeding in life, this is going out to all you younger generation. If you are succeeding in life, then why the hell are you aligning yourself with gangs? Let me tell you something, yeah? Here's something for you. If you are being a drug dealer while you're succeeding in the industry, whether it's music or anything else, then that means you haven't made it. It's as simple as that, all right? There's a lot of rappers out there right now who are selling drugs, selling ungays. Like I saw it in the newspaper in the last 6 months. A lot of the rappers have got locked up because they're still in the game, you know? On their music video clips, you see these Lamborghinis, you see these Gucci and Louis Vuitton bags, and you think, wow, these guys are killing it. They're friggin' love yous, appreciate you guys. These youngsters, look at their music video clips. They're friggin' living life to the fullest, and they've outdone their parents. You know, look at them, they're living rich. What rich? What rich? No rich. It's all rubbish. All their cars are rented. Just like my car was rented. Just like the Rolls Royce that would pick me up from prison when I finished my 7 years. Not my freaking Rolls Royce. It was a freaking rental Rolls Royce. You know what I mean? This is what I'm saying to you guys. Like, all these music video clips that you guys see that's all lax, it's all a facade. It's all rubbish, yeah? No one is living like that. And Youngn Lipz had an opportunity to become someone massive in Australia, but then he chose to align himself with this stupid game, all right? Remember, my guys never had an issue with Youngn Lipz. Ooh, Moses, Dreezy, appreciate you guys. My guys only had an issue with this gang that I just told you about. Fast forward, when Youngn Lipz was now making big noise on the streets, and people around Australia were starting to notice him. He went to a place which I'm not going to mention, and a lot of you guys know this story. And he went into the toilets, and one of my guys confronted him. It was an accident. It was a coincidence that they happened to go to the toilets at the same time. Long story short, Youngn Lipz ended up getting abstayed, yeah? There was a big thing around the streets when it came to the younger generation. Guys like myself didn't really care about it or know about it, but this is the situation that happened. He got abstayed, and then everyone started talking about it, and it was like this big thing. And when I first heard about it, I was like, what happened? Because one of the young Usos did this to Youngn Lipz. I go, who's Youngn Lipz? Explained that he rolls with OC, so obviously I didn't care. I found out later on that he was actually someone who was coming up in the music industry, but he was getting effed over from all the people around him, not being honest with him when it came to his music. You know, like the guy wasn't getting paid his due diligence. But this is where it comes down to all you youngsters out there. You know, picking and choosing the right people, you know, to be in your life. You know, you are who you surround yourself with. Youngn Lipz was becoming successful, but then he chose to surround himself with wannabe gangsters and also heroes, yeah? And these are the guys that brought him down. You know, like, I'm not trying to put down this Youngn Lipz guy. All I'm doing is stating facts, you know? If he never joined that gang, my guy never would have abstayed him, all right? And my guy's got a big heart. Youngn Lipz, he would have been as big as OneFour now, if not bigger, because the guy's got a totally different style than the OneFour boys and the 046 boys. You know what I mean? I've listened to his music once because it was playing in the background while I was training, and I remember turning around. I said to this Aussie guy inside prison, I go, who the hell's that? Because I could tell it was the Islander voice here. And he goes, oh, it's this guy Youngn Lipz, you know. And then straight away I knew he was OC, so I said to the Aussie guy, turn that freaking TV off before I come and turn your lights off. So he turned it off straight away. And this is how much hate I had towards this OC gang, you know. So I didn't want a bar of anyone that was close to them. And this is the reason why Youngn Lipz got. Now, let me tell you the difference between all these gangs and bloodline. Like everyone that was telling rubbish stories when I was locked up inside prison, saying that I was a bully and that my guys were putting it over all of them to go and do drug drops, and we were making them do things that they didn't want to do. This is all the rubbish propaganda that the younger generation were using against me and my team via social media. Remember, I'm a friggin' old cream, so I didn't know the power of social media. And when social media was popping, my name was all over Facebook, Instagram, and my wife was just telling me all these stories, and my people were sending me messages, and it was just all rubbish stories, but there was nothing I could do about it. Social media killed my life, you know, like not only my life, but my reputation. You know, I had to come out here and get in front of all of you to be able to straighten out all the stories. You know, and obviously everything I say is facts. Now, let me explain to you the difference between Bloodline and every other gang. Youngn Lipz's brother ended up at Clarence, all right? Straight away, all the boys found out who he was, and then they were planning to chop him. Now, all you little gangsters, remember what I said to you guys a couple of weeks ago. What you do now is gonna come back and not only bite your ass, but it's gonna come back in full to your family. You know what I mean? They're not only, like, there's a situation that's occurring right now where I know someone that's in debt, and this guy can't pay the debt, and then I got told just yesterday that this gang is now hitting up his family members. You know, his brothers and his sisters who are running successful businesses, but because of this idiot, the other sibling owing money, he's now got jeopardized his whole family. You know, and this is the same as Youngn Lipz's brother. He was doing the right thing, and he was on his way to stardom. Then he decided to align himself with this stupid gang, not knowing that one day his younger brother is gonna walk in to the territory of all of Youngn Lipz's enemies. You know, and remember, my guys, they were after Youngn Lipz for a long time just to send a message. There's another story after this that I will tell to finish off the night, but let me finish it at this. Youngn Lipz's brother was there. Everyone was getting ready to abstate him, yeah. And when everyone was gathered around talking about it, Youngn Lipz's brother, he just thought he was all good, all right. And when the boys asked him, "Why are you at this prison? And what happened to you?" and he simply said, "Oh, I had issues with the OC boys." So where did the loyalty go there? Youngn Lipz gave up stardom, gave up everything that he risked in life for a gang that I think turned on his brother, because his brother never would have ended up at our prison if he was aligned with that gang. And the words that came out of his mouth was, "I have dramas with OC." How do you have dramas with OC when your brother is OC, or your brother is aligned with OC? You know what I mean? But this is how two-faced this friggin' game is. This is what I keep telling all you youngsters. Look how two-faced it was. This brother here just gave up stardom for a gang. Then his younger brother comes into prison. All of a sudden, his younger brother's got dramas with that gang. Like, how does that work? It works. You know why it works? Because this is gang life. Two-faced. It's a rubbish life, just like I always freaking tell you guys. But this is the difference between Bloodline and all these other gangs, yeah? This young kid, he could have got abstained and he would have lost his eyes and his freaking head, yeah? But instead, my brother, not 212 Heat, but my brother Skivvy. A lot of boys that are out there know who my brother Skivvy is. He was the one that called the shot to let him go. This is the reason why Youngn Lipz's brother didn't get abstained, yeah? And mind you, heavy hitters were at Clarence at the time he turned up. When I say heavy hitters, I'm talking about heavy hitter Bloodline boys. Like, we have a brother named Tala Semu. His nickname is Hulk. The reason why his nickname is Hulk, because he's beat up a lot of people inside prison. And not only this, there's a story that's very famous inside prison of where 3 OC guys were at Shortland on one side of the yard getting the medical tablets, yeah? Tala ended up on the other, on the same side, but he was all the way here. It's probably about 100 meters away. Now remember, if there's 3 gang members who are rivals with another gang member, don't you think these 3 gang members would run over and attack that one gang member? Hey, it's gang life, right? But guess what? These 3 guys stood there ignoring the fact that there was a Bloodline member 100 meters away. And when Tala turned around and saw them, this is the reason why we call him Hulk, is he saw them and he never hesitated. He walked straight towards them. And guess what he did? As he walked towards them, he goes, "Hey boys, use OC," whack. He went to town on all 3 of them. By the time the screws came running, Tala was beating up all 3 of these guys, all right? This is why Tala's name is very well known, not only in prison, but in the gang world, you know? Like, Hulk did not care. And everything that Hulk is violently, he learned from my brother 212 Heat. them two are like this, yeah? Now, Hulk was there when Youngn Lipz' brother came. And Hulk, like, obviously he was being nice to him because he wanted to get him close, and then all the boys were going to do what they got to do. This is how it works in prison, you know, play the game. But my brother was the one who said, let him go. And yeah, there are times when we get frustrated at my younger brother because he's got a good heart. At the end of the day, gang life is gang life. When you see them, you attack, yeah? But my brother, he's got a big heart, just like I do, but his heart is much more kinder. And he chose to let Youngn Lipz' brother be and walk our prisons. So I listen to all you younger generation out there, you know, no matter what you do in life, it's always gonna come back and bite you in one way or the other. You know, if it's not gonna come back and bite you in the ass, right, it's gonna come back and bite your brothers, your sisters, or your parents in the ass. You know, this story is a repetitive story that you guys need to understand. You know, there is so many guys who are unalive today. They've been Otshe, they've been Absday, and guess what? It wasn't even them. I always bring up these two names, the father and son, Hemsey, you know, who got Otshe in Sydney. These two, apparently the son was gang related, but the father was an innocent, hard-working 9-to-5 man. And guess what happened? He got Otshe because these guys were aiming for his son. Innocent man, gone, and it's a father who had a lot more years to live and had a lot of obligations. And all this was left behind because of something the son was involved in. You know what I mean? And this is what I keep telling every single one of you guys out there, or younger generation out there, is things that come from what you do, you know? You have to start changing now while you can.